I saw Schultz on Theo's podcast.
Yeah.
And Theo said, was that planned? And Schultz says, no, it wasn't. And in my head, I was like, right? Because we go there for Netflix. We go on behalf of Netflix. And I had said to Triple H, I was like, I want to get in the ring. I want to take a couple bumps. And everyone was making fun of me. They're like, bro, you're 52. I remember I told one guy goes, how old are you? And I said, 30. And he went, what? And I was, I'm 52. And he goes, hang on, if you're old enough that you don't remember how old you are, we're not going to let you take bumps. And so I was like, they thought I was drunk. McAfee came up to me, he goes, what's in the glass? I said, it's coffee. And he goes, okay. He's like,
the wrestlers?
He's like, yeah, sit down, you fat. And I was like, I was sitting there with my wife watching wrestling. I'm enjoying myself. Everyone came in. Everyone lit me up. And my big mistake was I walked in. I regret it. I walked in that day and I said, is CM Punk here? And I think everyone was like, we're all people too. Why are you looking for CM? But he's the only one I know. Can I tell you what's really scary?
Yeah.
Is the next morning I followed them on Instagram.
Yeah.
They didn't follow me back.
Yeah.
I just followed them. Like I just followed them because I was like, and I think I sent a message. Hey guys, that was really fun last night. No reply.
Yeah.
No reply.
Yeah.
So for the past month, Bert Kreischer has been going everywhere promoting his new comedy special. And this time, not only did he go to every single podcast available on Earth, but also a few weeks back, he appeared on Raw, and it was a complete mess because he did kind of embarrass himself on live television, but it was mainly behind the scenes when he came to talking to and interacting with the pro wrestlers, which I would argue is a big deal because he was essentially being disrespectful and ended up being hated by everyone, which does make sense because, as we all know, when it comes to stand-up comedy and pro wrestling, even though they are completely different worlds, they do have a lot of things in common, with the biggest thing, in my opinion, being that, that unspoken agreement to not call out or fact check every single thing that is said, and instead to go along with the show, because obviously a lot of comedians do make up stories and lie for the bit. But when it comes to stand-up comedians, they do have to walk this fine line between making up lies for the story, for the bits, and making up lies to make themselves look better and cooler. And well, I think you know where this is going, because when it comes to Bert, it's really impressive. It's shocking, but not surprising how he was able to essentially take what was a scripted performance and use it as proof to show everyone how great and amazing he was. It was pretty wild, especially because, according to him, before that happened, he wasn't the biggest fan of pro wrestling and was kind of a hater. But then, because they made him look good that night, all of a sudden he got bit by the bug and now wants to be part of future pro wrestling events, which is absolutely insane. I know that we talk about Bert Kreischer making it all about himself, but this right here took it to a level that I didn't know was possible. So let's get started.
And then the other day, I woke up in Minneapolis. Best wake up ever. Best wake up ever.
How was the wake up?
I rolled over and Leanne goes, you choke slammed 2 dudes last night.
Oh, yeah.
It's the best wake up I've ever had.
Yeah.
It was the best. That was probably one of the best experiences I've ever had in my entire life. And all I'm telling you, and Triple H, if you are watching, if anyone can get this, Triple H, Tom has a series called Bad Thoughts coming out May 13th. May 13th?
Yes,
May 13th.
Yeah.
There is going to be a Monday Night Raw right before his comes out. I will go with you. We bring the boys.
Okay.
And we go to see WWE Raw. Tom, the energy there is so fun. And it's just like Bears. It's like, but it's all people into one thing.
Yeah.
And it was so fun.
Is this you jumping over the fence?
This is me jumping. Have you not seen this?
No.
Okay. Leanne's pissed.
Right here?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I wasn't supposed to do any of this.
You are really panicking?
I'm really panicking.
You're really going to smack that guy with a belt?
Because it scares me. Tommy, not my best look. I should have kept the belt on. Look at this. Look at that choke slam.
Oh, dude.
Look at that. Do it again. Punk's going, do it again. Do it again. Tommy, it was the most exhilarating. Now, I'm gonna say this.
Yeah.
Because I saw Schultz on Theo's podcast.
Yeah.
And Theo said, was that planned? And Schultz says, no, it wasn't. And in my head, I was like, right? Because we go there for Netflix. We go
Yeah.
on behalf of Netflix. Netflix asked, can you go to Minneapolis? Just all they were going to have me do was hold the belt. I was going to do a promo, right? So I did a promo with Otis. I was backstage.
Yeah.
It's really confusing.
Now, right away, it's so crazy that Bert actually tried to insert himself in Tom's future potential appearance on a Monday Night Raw, because I think it's pretty safe to assume that Tom would never go out there with Bert ever, especially after seeing what he did that time. You know, him running around with no shirt, with no belt, and his pants falling down. It was pretty wild to see. But also, we've seen what happens whenever they go out there together to promote something. It's not a good look. And the fact that Bert actually thought that it would be a good idea for him to be out there with Tom shows how delusional he is. You know, for once, he's not even on the show, on Tom's show that is coming up on Netflix, even though technically he is his best friend and co-host, but he's not on the show. And so unless they were going to promote Two Bears, One Cave, it wouldn't make any sense for Bert to be out there with Tom. And I would argue that if it did happen, it could potentially harm the show's reputation, because it could be seen as a silly, corny comedy show instead of what Tom wants, which is a more serious, edgy comedy show. For example, at this point, because of the whole Netflix deal, most of the Rogan Sphere comedians have gone to some sort of pro wrestling events or Monday Night Raw, whether it is Tony Hinchcliffe, Shane Gillis, Andrew Schultz, and now Bert Kreischer. To be fair, when it comes to someone like Andrew Schultz, and I'm not a huge pro wrestling fan, but I get it, and when it comes to him being at the event, it seems like he did handle it pretty well. You know, he knew that he was there to promote his special, but didn't really make it all about himself. He played along with the story. He got called out by Logan Paul, and then actually stepped into the ring, and he let the professionals do their thing.
Also, you know what's this is the most embarrassing thing is when you're not in the action, you don't know what to do. So like I have a lot of respect to the people who aren't doing the thing. They're like on the sidelines, but they're like invested still. They're doing their little thing. They're like emotional, or they just did a move on. Someone did a move on them, and they're like reeling, but they're committed to that shit.
Yeah.
Because there's a moment where I'm just sitting on the ropes, and I'm like, so what y'all doing? Like, yo, this seat is fire. You got to get this front row seat. Like, I'm just there. At one point, I just shook the ropes. I didn't know what to do. You need to go. I didn't know. It told me what to do in that moment. Not that there would be anybody telling me. Obviously, because I didn't even know I was gonna.
It's raw. It's Monday Night Raw.
It's raw.
Yes.
But
there is a moment where you get thrown and you're like, and then AJ comes in and you're like, all right, nice.
Yeah, exactly.
And then AJ slaps you, you stand up, you're like, yeah.
That's my deep breath.
You're not injured anymore?
Not at all. They talk shit too.
Yeah, it's fun.
One of these guys was talking crazy shit to me.
Saying what?
I watched your special. That shit sucked.
Whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah. So now I'm like reflexive. My wife is right there. You insulted me. And I'm like, yeah, why you got knee pads on?
And so the point is that Bert could have done something very similar, you know, kept it chill, but instead did what he did. Now, that wasn't even that bad. It wasn't the worst part. It was silly. It was corny, whatever. But then when things get serious is when it comes to him interacting with the other pro wrestlers, which was, it gets pretty crazy. It's so wild that he was actually willing to admit to what he did, but it's not shocking because it is Bert and he always ends up exposing himself. And by the way, don't forget to like the video. It helps out so much and I really appreciate that. Thank you.
By the way, all of this that's on there is not on air. That's not on air. The cameras were off. The show was over. The show was over, Tom.
This is not on the air?
It's all off air. The show was over. Everyone, cameraman, Pat McAfee, everyone left. Everyone left. That happened after the show. So when Schultz said it wasn't scripted, I was like, it's got to be scripted. So I go and do the promo thing with Otis. They give me the belt. I put the belt on. I chug a beer. All scripted, all set up. We knew we were going to do that, right? And I had said to Triple H, I was like, I want to get in the ring. I want to take a couple bumps. And everyone was making fun of me. They're like, bro, you're 52. I remember I told one guy goes, how old are you? And I said, 30. And he went, what? And I was, I'm 52. And he goes, hang on, if you're old enough that you don't remember how old you are, we're not going to let you take bumps. And so I was like, and Triple H said
30. I'd be like, what the does this guy eat?
They thought I was drunk. McAfee came up to me. He goes, what's in the glass? I said, it's coffee. And he goes, okay. I told Pat, I go, do you think I could take a bump? And he was like, no. I said, but you have. He goes, buddy, I bought a wrestling ring my first year in the NFL. Like, I've been a wrestling fan my whole life.
Yeah.
When we did this in our backyard as kids, like, I knew what I was doing. I had a guy train me before I started doing anything. And so I was like, okay. So I was like, oh. So I said to Triple H, I was like, you know, I said to Cody and I said to everyone I wanted to take a bump. And Triple H is like, yeah, I don't. He's like, here's the deal, man. If you're being serious, if you'd like to get in the ring, then absolutely, we'll send you down to Orlando, and you can do a couple weeks in Orlando. That's what everyone does, and then we can get you up to speed, but we can't just send you in there. And I was like, okay. So when that happened, and I swear on both of the lives of both of my daughters and my wife and my 2 dogs, might as well throw the cats in. I swear to God, no scripting, no planning, had no idea what was going on.
Why
at
did
all.
you? How did you?
And I
Just,
thought I was going to get in trouble.
why did you jump? You just jumped over the thing.
No, I didn't understand I thought I met everybody, right? And like I kind of thought I was cool with everybody before the show. And the second like a new day came in, and they were just lit me up.
Now, this is what's so insane to me. So I've seen a few documentaries about how tough it is, you know, being a professional wrestler when it comes to all the health problems, the injuries, and the pay structure, which is similar to the UFC, where the company makes all the money in the world, and some of the athletes might not be getting paid that well. And I don't know if that's still the case, but I say that to say this. Could you imagine being a professional wrestler, you know, trying to make a name for yourself and make money, and then you listen to Bert Kreischer, one of the biggest and most successful, richest comedians at the moment, who really has no talent, basically telling you to your face that he thinks what you do is so easy that he can just pick it up and do it like that. That's so disrespectful. And I feel like it would be the same thing as me going up to a bodybuilding gym or a competition and being like, hey, can I just get on stage real quick? I don't care about any of this. I just want to take a quick picture and flex. That's insane. And now looking back, I completely understand how some comedians must have felt when back when Brendan Schaub was doing comedy. It must have been insane. And you know, normally that would never happen. It wouldn't work. But because of Joe Rogan, everything was possible. And same thing with Bert Kreischer. Now, to be fair, at least Bert was being honest, because it does sound like he was being very honest. I mean, he was asking the dumbest questions, and everyone around him was trying to nicely tell him that he was a ass and drunk, because it does make sense. Only someone that is loaded and wasted is delusional enough to think that because a former professional athlete, who by the way is about 15 years younger than him, because he can take a bump, so can he. I mean, that is so delusional and insane, it doesn't make any sense.
I was sitting right behind McAfee, and everyone would come in and go, "Hey, you fat," and I was like, "What? What did I do to Austin?" He's like,
the wrestlers?
He's like, yeah, sit down, you fat. And I was like, I was sitting there with my wife watching wrestling. I'm enjoying myself. McAfee's losing his mind. He's laughing in front of me. He's like, "Dude, they're coming after you." Everyone came in. Everyone lit me up, and when they came out, they were just staring at me, and they're like, "Yeah, take off your shirt, fat boy. Show them titties. Show them titties, fat boy," or whatever. And I was like, but
I would have had a seizure.
dude, one guy got in my face. This is on the screen. One guy got in my face and like started getting in my face up in the thing, talking shit. And I lifted my shirt up to him. I didn't know what to do. I'm not trained for this. I thought we were all friends. I really honestly, my big mistake was I walked in. I regret it. I walked in that day and I said, "Is CM Punk here?" And I think everyone was like, "We're all people too. Why are you looking for CM?" But he's the only one I know.
Right.
Because we did the football thing together. And when I saw him, I said, "I swear to God, this is all on camera. You can find this on camera." I said, "Are you wrestling tonight?" And he went, "No." I said, "What are you doing here?" He goes, "I'm just doing a promo for WrestleMania. It's in 2 weeks." I was like, "Okay." I go, "What are you doing?" I said, "I think I'm going to do something with Paul Heyman. Just, pump everyone up for WrestleMania." And I was like, "Cool." And so I was like, "Yeah." He was not supposed to fight. He was not on any card to fight. He should not have wrestled at all. And so when they did that, and I started looking around like, what am I supposed to do? And they're like, "Yeah, get over here, fat boy. Take your shirt off, fatty." And I'm like, okay. And I swear to God, Tom, I'm not joking at all. I thought I'll go over there and I'll like talk shit, and then security will pull me away. And I got over there, and the guy got out of the ring. And I was like, hold on, am I going to fight this guy? Like, I'm like, I know this is not, I know what this is, sports entertainment, but now I'm looking at a guy who just got out of the ring and is charging me. So I took my belt and started whapping it. So I was like, and because I want him to know I don't know what I'm doing, and I will hurt you to make sure I stay safe.
Yeah.
I will hit you with my belt to make sure I stay safe. It was such an insane experience. But the craziest part is when CM Punk looks at me and goes, "Choke slam him." And I go, "Huh? I've never done a choke slam in my life."
Yeah, it looked good.
Because he saw, I think CM Punk had seen my special. And I
Yeah.
had a joke in my first bit about throwing my wife's got like an inbred special needs kid in her family.
Yeah.
And it's in the special. Thanks for watching. But I choke slam him into the water. He goes, do me WWE style. And I was like, well, he goes, but do me WWE style. Come on, my dad does it. So I choke slammed him into the lake. So CM Punk thought he must know how to choke slam people.
And funny enough, this really caught me off guard because according to Bert, the reason why CM Punk told him to chokeslam the two guys was because he was trying to make a reference to one of his bits from his comedy special on Netflix, which is absolutely insane. I mean, I wish I had Bert's level of confidence. Now, is there a chance that that is exactly what happened? I don't think so. I mean, what's more likely? That CM Punk actually saw his special and told him to chokeslam the guys because of that? Or is it maybe that they simply gave Bert Kreischer the most simple and basic move that he could do without hurting himself and still look good on camera for the audience? I mean, it's pretty obvious, but also, if you look closely, of course, Bert Kreischer didn't chokeslam anyone. If anything, it was more like the wrestlers jumped up in the air and then landed on their back while Bert's hand happened to be on their neck. But the fact that he's playing into it or believes that he actually chokeslammed someone is pretty wild, and a lot of the comments pointed this out on that episode. And what's really crazy is that a lot of those comments are way funnier than the actual host on their own comedy podcast.
Dude, chokeslamming a man is the funnest thing. I will do that any fight I ever get in. I'm chokeslamming people.
Yeah,
that
go
is
for
the
it.
greatest
That's a great
move in the world. That's the whole thing. Because I woke up the next morning and I was like, I felt so good, and I texted Cody and I texted CM Punk.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, I think I got bit by the bug.
Yeah.
Like I might go to Orlando for a little bit and train.
Yeah.
And they just laughed.
They love it. They love it.
Yeah. But I really think me and you could take those two dudes in a Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, man. Of course we could. What are they, Australian?
Yeah. They're the Day Down Under. What are they? Lovely Day Down Under. What is the name of the wrestling?
Lovely Day Down Under.
No.
Is that a boy band?
I've been texting them with. No, they're a Town Down Under.
Oh.
It's Grayson and Austin, and they can get this smoke.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say. I mean, they've already got a taste of the B-Men. You bring in the two of us, two bears versus a town down under, two bears. Dude, we would crush Tom.
Creative, man.
Can I tell you what? Can I tell you what's really scary?
Yeah.
Is the next morning I followed them on Instagram.
Yeah.
They didn't follow me back.
Yeah.
I just followed them. Like I just followed them because I was like, and I think I sent a message. Hey guys, that was really fun last night. No reply.
Yeah.
No reply.
They're not, yeah.
Dude, the wrestling scene is so cool to me because I really honestly don't know how these people don't get hurt.
And look, to me, it does make sense why everyone hated Bert, because according to him, he went in there looking for CM Punk because that is who he knew or who he thought was more famous, maybe, instead of actually wanting to meet everyone and get to know them one by one. It is pretty interesting. And now that I think about it, there is a chance that maybe Bert's kryptonite is being around pro wrestlers, because hear me out. Whenever Bert goes out to do podcasts or TV shows or late night TV, there is a chance that maybe in his head, he actually believes that because he does arenas, he is way bigger and better than everyone else because they don't. And he might be right when it comes to doing arenas, but then when it comes to pro wrestlers, because they are part of one of the biggest platforms in the world and they do arenas all the time, it does kind of level the playing field and allows them to be completely honest with Bert. And well, he ended up getting insulted and roasted the whole night. But also the fact that Tom just sat there and didn't call him out for anything shows to me that he's basically done with Bert. Like, he feels hopeless and doesn't really want to do anything with him and just do his own thing, because, you know, the fact that Bert isn't on Tom's new show on Netflix, and the fact that he wasn't around for one of the biggest nights in Tom's career, you know, doing MSG, is pretty insane. And also, we've mentioned this before, but at this point, it does seem like if it wasn't for Two Bears, One Cave, I don't think Tom and Bert would still be friends.
But you said something one time, because I remember we were talking to a friend and he asked us to do MSG with him. Mm-hmm. And you said to the friend, this should be your play. You should do MSG by yourself. And you said to me, I would like to do MSG by myself. I like no offense. If I do MSG, I want it to be my night.
Yeah.
And I fucking registered so heavily that as I was looking at the videos,
I forgot that.
I looked at the videos. I was like, dude, this is a big night for him.
Yeah, it was big. It was awesome.
Is it out of all the shows you've done big venues?
Yeah.
Is MSG? Does it feel different than say
Yes.
the United Center or the Forum?
I think so. Well, here's the thing, because I was trying to figure out why. I was like, I go, man, it was really crazy. And you know, when you go, I've always felt like this. I don't know if you have, but when you do New York and LA, even if you have a big venue and it's packed, sometimes you're like, yeah, the crowd was kind of like, they were good, but you don't feel like, man, that crowd was great. Almost because you go, well, they know they're the primary market of the world. Mm-hmm. So there's almost like an air of like, yeah, like we're here. You better be great, right?
Yeah.
Like we got a lot of options here, man. Like that's kind of like how I feel in LA and New York sometimes. I've had great shows in both cities.
Now, I did want to talk about Tom's new show coming up on Netflix real quick because at this point, it's really down to Tires and Tom's new show to carry the entire Rogan sphere. Because if the new season of Tires flops and Tom's new show, Bad Thoughts, if it's trash, then at that point, it's a wrap and there's absolutely no hope for the Rogan sphere left because, it's so shocking that the same people that would hate on Hollywood for being too woke and too restricted have absolutely put out the worst comedy in the past couple of years because Joe Rogan's special was trash. Andrew Schultz was disappointing, even though people think because it was emotional, it was good. If that's the case, then you'll likely enjoy Bert Kreischer's comedy special as well. And Ari Shaffir pretty much sold out to be on Netflix because his comedy was weak. And we saw what happened with the Kill Tony episode on Netflix. It was insanely bad. And so once again, if those two shows fail, if they flop, that will be basically proof that the whole podcast comedian experiment was a failure and that Hollywood actually deserves some respect because funny enough, recently I've been going back to the basics, watching older TV shows, sitcoms, and some older podcast episodes because recently, besides comedians like Ralph Barbosa, I haven't seen any younger comedians that really caught my attention. And so again, I've been going back to Louis C.K., older Bill Burr, and stuff like that. But the real question is, what happens if Tom's show actually becomes massively successful? Like, what if Tom becomes a successful actor and director and has a massively successful comedy show on Netflix? I mean, there's absolutely no way that Two Bears, One Cave would continue, right? Because now looking back, Tom's first massive change happened obviously when he broke his arm in half and then went through the massive weight loss. Then he became a completely different person who now likes to be rich and wear super expensive clothes. But then could you imagine if he actually had a massively successful show on Netflix? I feel like he would just explode and turn into a completely different person altogether.
I'm going to dinner with Tom tonight at 7.
Where are you guys going?
Where are we going?
Oh, dude.
Oh, that's a great
That's our
spot.
You can drink Bodega Cat there, dude.
They got our picture on the wall there.
Are you going to East Village or Times Square? So you're double staking. Got to get the tomahawk.
Yes.
The tomahawk's phenomenal there.
Yeah, the lobster mac.
Ozempic Tommy only orders like seltzer water.
Ah.
I was like, buddy, we got to get lit. He's like, I'm doing Madison Square Garden.
Oh,
Well,
is
dude-
it? Shit, I didn't even know that.
Well, dude,
Yeah.
I will say the Strip House is like one of my favorite spots.
It's a great spot.
We went there
Classic
for his
New York.
birthday. I love that place. Is like
It's
legit.
legendary. They got the Bodega Cat behind the bar.
I just think that it was fitting.
He just shoots us in the head.
Put Tommy on your.
Oh shit!
Is his career dead? Is that the problem?
No.
This is the dead wall.
Yeah, put him on the dead wall.
That Ozempic's going to kill him.
Yeah,
He's going to OD on that shit.
this is a fatter Tommy than the one I know now. I liked
Fat Tom.
Oh man,
With the black shirt, with the bad hair. Oh, man, that was good time. He looked like a wing eating contest winner.
you know I'm not even fucking around. He traveled with hot sauce.
Get out of here. The pores feel like that he left them.
No, god damn it! Like that. The most annoying thing I've ever heard in my life is like, yo, he was poor.
Yeah.
But he busted his ass, and he's doing crazy, great stuff.
And he's a great dude.
And he's
Great
a great
guy.
dude, and he's doing great content.
Great comic.
His specials are awesome. Listen, he has changed. Yes. But by the way, I'm going to tell you something secret. He didn't like who he was.
Sure.
He didn't love being fat as fucking shit. Dude, if you pull up me shaving his tits, he is so fat, it is aggressive. No one wants to be that guy.
And look, if you've been watching or listening to these podcasters as long as I have, it is pretty crazy watching them change and turn into a completely different person in only 4 years. Because sure, I get the whole thing about growing together, as cringe as that sounds, but this wasn't really growth in my opinion. And instead, it was simply them getting lost in the sauce and letting the money and the fame change them. Because when it comes to the Bears, to Tom and Bert, they are in a funny situation because, you know, when it comes to Tom, the criticism is that he actually changed a lot and is a completely different person because of the money and the fame. But then when it comes to Bert, the criticism is the complete opposite. The criticism is that he doesn't want to change, that he hasn't changed, and he is still the same person he was like 4 years ago, to the point that to this day, he continues to embarrass himself in public. And so, you know, it's a completely different approach than what Tom is doing. And so I feel like this summer will be an interesting time for the Bears, for Two Bears, One Cave, because again, if Tom's show is a massive hit and it's successful, then it might mean the end for the actual podcast. However, if the show flops, if it's a fail, then, you know, even worse for the podcast, because that would mean that the show, the comedy podcast, is hosted by two comedians that can't do anything besides podcast and stand-up comedy, which is not bad, of course, but because for the past 10 years or whatever, the entire Rogan Sphere shtick was to hate on Hollywood and talk about how bad that whole system was and how unfunny it was. Now that it's time for them to deliver, well, my expectations are really, really high. And so far, when it comes to the rest of the Rogan Sphere, it's been horrible. And so we'll see what happens. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Leave a like and subscribe to support the channel. Dislike if you didn't like the video. But that is all we have for today. See ya.